Okay. You ready? Okay, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bajat Jaffrey. I'm an internal medicine physician, and I've had the honor of participating in various programs and events run by IMI over the years. And in a little while, you'll hear about what an amazing organization Imamia Medics International is, and what they've done, in the past to benefit millions of people around the world in different capacities. So I'd like to start by introducing Dr. Ibrahim Moussa. He's an interventional cardiologist in Voorhees, New Jersey, and has had over 20 years of experience in the medical field. Dr. Moussa has extensive experience in interventional cardiac procedures and adult congenital heart conditions. Dr. Moussa is board certified in internal medicine, cardiology, interventional cardiology, adult echocardiography, and nuclear cardiology. So he'll be giving a presentation on cardiovascular health and its impacts on the mind, body, and soul. So let's welcome him with a loud salawat.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Jaffrey, for that warm introduction. I'd like to go by the humble servant of Allah. That's the best title one can have. So today we're gonna kind of go over some objective cardiovascular health, mind, body, and soul. My biggest objective is obviously after iftar to keep everyone awake. So we're gonna go over a brief overview of what is the cardiovascular system, why is it important, and we're gonna go over ways to nurture the body, cultivate the mind, and nourish the soul. Obviously we have our Maulana here. I'll be very brief with the soul and the spirituality part, but and then finally we'll try to see how we can integrate the mind, body, and soul into the one that we are. So here's the cardiovascular system. Basically, the cardiovascular system consists of the heart, which is a pump, the arteries, veins, capillaries. It's a complex network, and the sole purpose of the cardiovascular system is to deliver nutrients, oxygen, vitamins, whatever you need, that your cells need around the various organs, whether it's the brain, kidneys, muscles. Without a healthy cardiovascular system, none of those organs would function. The eyes, the tongue, the muscles, the brain. So it's very essential that the pump is working well and it pumps well, and as well as the vessels are doing their job. So the vessels are pretty complex and the heart is very complex. We're not going to go over the anatomy. That's like a 2-3 hour lecture, but just for the sake of simplicity, know that it's a circulation issue, and it's very essential for the capillaries to function properly, to exchange nutrients between the cells. So what are common cardiovascular diseases? So the biggest problem that we see is atherosclerosis, which is buildup of plaque in the arteries. So it could be in, think about it. You have arteries in your eyes, you have arteries in your brain, you have arteries in your neck. Yeah, arteries are all over the place. That's how the cells get fed, the organs get fed. So anywhere there's an artery, there could be buildup of plaque. There could be also malfunction. So we saw quite a bit of not buildup of plaque, but inflammation and thrombosis, clotting with COVID, for example. The lining of the vessels got so inflamed that that inner layer of the vessels started having sludge on it. So a lot of people had blood clots in the lungs, strokes, heart attacks, not because of a totally blocked artery, but just the abnormal function of the capillaries during COVID. So heart failure is when the heart muscle itself gets damaged. The heart can't meet the demand of the body, and then the lungs can fill up with fluid, the legs can fill up with water, and that's why people get short of breath. They get tired fast. These are symptoms of heart failure. Arrhythmia is a big title that includes low heart rate, fast heart rate, irregular heart rates, the irregular heart rates can lead to strokes. And vascular disease is also a big umbrella that includes both venous disease, blood clots in the legs, and then blocked arteries. So blocked arteries in any vessels in the leg, people can't walk far, they get calf pains, or God forbid, if the artery is totally blocked, they develop something called gangrene or black toes, and they can lose their limbs. So that's the kind of the most common. We didn't touch here about congenital heart disease or other vascular malformation, but these are the kind of the most common diseases in the cardiovascular system. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about atherosclerosis and how it builds up. If you look up there, the normal looking arteries got 3 layers, something called the intima, media, and externa. So they're kind of tubes within the tube. The innermost layer, the intima, is a single cell layer, and it's very important because it makes something called nitrous oxide, and it needs to be working, really functioning well, because you know, the vessels are not rigid structures. Think of them as tubes. They expand depending on the need of the organ. So let's say you're running. When you're running, the muscles are going to need a lot of blood. They need a lot of oxygen. They need a lot of nutrients. So that artery expands, delivers more blood flow. Now, when you're resting, especially after iftar, all that blood is going to go to the gut, right? So it's not going to your muscles. That blood is going to go to the gut. I'm not getting a lot of blood to my brain after the iftar, but I'm going to try to work with what I have. So it's important for the lining of that vessel to be working nicely. Now, that inner, the media is the smooth muscle layer. That's the one that controls the vascular tone, and the externa is basically just a protective layer. Now, over time, you know, thanks to our modern diet, that's really full of saturated fat, trans fat, fried foods, pesticide, antibiotics, genetically modified, smoking, you know, pollution, stress, lack of sleep, all of that. We can go on and on. You know, that leads, unfortunately, to inflammation and buildup of plaque. So the plaque starts as like a fatty streak inside the vessel, high cholesterol, and basically with time, it progresses. And, you know, you think of it as a pimple sitting inside the artery. If it, you know, after, you know, we see, what I see is 4th of July, people eat hot dogs, steaks, and, you know, smoke and drink a bunch of Coke, and then, you know, I'm busy with heart attacks. That pimple bursts open, and when pimple pops, basically the body thinks that you're bleeding, because now the inside of the pimple is exposed to the bloodstream. Just like when you cut yourself and get a scab, you're going to get a blood clot. So, but the problem with that is that that's sitting inside the vessel. So when a clot forms on top of a pimple, there may be like a 40% blockage, a little bit of narrowing from plaque, and it goes to 100% like this. So there's now complete occlusion of the vessel, and that vessel subtends to a tissue, whether it's a heart tissue or the brain or the kidney or the leg. So if no blood flow is going to that organ, now the organ is damaged. So if it's in the brain, we call it a stroke. If it's in the heart, we call it a heart attack. If it's in the leg, we call it acute limb ischemia, which leads to like paralysis, numbness, and a cold foot. So the reasons we get the plaque formation is high cholesterol, chronic inflammation. Any sort of chronic inflammation in the body can lead to plaque buildup. Stress, anxiety, poor sleep hygiene. We're not sleeping well. We're, you know, sleep apnea, high blood pressure. All these things can lead to plaque formation. If you guys have a burning question, please raise your hand and ask. I don't want to just speak over you and put you to sleep. So, so these are just a quick overview of some chronic inflammatory conditions. Ulcerative colitis, type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, obesity, multiple sclerosis, high blood pressure, heart disease. Also, we left here like chronic gum disease, like poor dentition. People who have really a lot of gum disease can get inflammation in their heart arteries. Risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Who does get heart attacks? Mainly high cholesterol, high blood pressure, people who are inactive, family history, a strong family history of heart disease, somebody who had a parent get a heart attack before the age of 60 or 50, it tends, like, family history is very important when it comes to cardiovascular disease. So it's something to take. The other, some of it is genetic, we can't do anything about. Some people are born with very small heart arteries and are more prone to getting heart attacks, unfortunately. And if they have familial hyperlipidemia, that means is they're born with an abnormal, their body is just a factory for cholesterol. We can't do anything about that, except, giving them medication. The things that, these is what we call our non-modifiable risk factors. The modifiable risk factors are, leading a healthy lifestyle. Basically, eating well, sleeping well, exercising, avoiding stress, avoiding, tobacco, and
which is all hard. Which is all hard.
Hard stuff. Yeah, it's not yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's really hard, especially nowadays with the way what I tell my patient when they come into me, come to the office. We talk about, I say, like, listen, you're gonna see a doctor that's not gonna, I don't get paid to tell you this, but the first 50 years of your life, we make you sick by the way we make you eat. So think about what's available nowadays. Think about what your ancestors had to eat and what do we eat, right? So everything was natural, non-processed, not genetically modified. There's no high fructose corn syrup. There's no modified grain, whether it's corn, wheat, everything that we have, the wheat, the oranges that you eat are modified, genetically modified. So it's so easy to put on weight because everything is devoid of nutrients. There's no nutrients. Think about the food that's around you. Ice cream, cookies, cheesecakes, and all the best things. Yeah, I'm sorry to break it to you. The best things is gonna come back to visit you one day. So whatever you put into your body, one day will come back to visit you. So it's for my youth, and it's never too late to start. I think it's very important because it's not an easy way. The mind, I'm gonna get to the mind and the body and the soul, like those three layers of you. You're not just a body. The body is just a flesh vehicle that you use in this realm. But for the mind to work properly and for the soul to flourish and reach its destination, those three layers have to be working with each other. So the heart and the mind has to work with each other. And if you don't line up those three layers of you, you're not going to reach your full potential. So, so I skipped here a little bit. Let me see. We got risk factors. So nurturing the body. So what do we do to nurture this flesh vehicle? I call it flesh vehicle now. I want you to get it out of the concept that you are your body or your mind. You're not the body and you're not the mind, right? So the more we practice that, and that's what Shahr Ramadan, I think, or the month of Ramadan is about, is to let the spirit rise over the matter, pretty much. You're gonna that trigger for the thirst and hunger in us is gonna trigger you to think, like, why am I doing this? Why am I angry? So all of these is you're gonna have to sit with yourself in Shahr Ramadan and try to work out the issues. Not, don't spend the month fighting with yourself, right? And feeling angry and hungry, that's not the purpose of the month. The purpose of the month is for reflection, for us to kind of slow down a little bit and think, why am I doing this? Who am I? What am I doing in this world? So it's a very important month, and we'll get to some of that in the next slides. But nurturing the body, healthy lifestyle habits for maintaining cardiovascular health, basically a diet that's rich in vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. So more of a Mediterranean diet, and I'll give you a slide on a Mediterranean diet in a bit. But the simple formula is, what's healthy? What's there to eat? Most of my patients come and say, okay, so you took the pizza away from me and the donuts and the bagels. What do I eat now? There's nothing else to eat, and the food is very expensive. But in general, if it comes in nature, like whole foods, whether it's fruits, vegetables, beans, grains, fish, it's safe. And I think the cuisines that we have, you know, we don't have to eat meat every day. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, lentils, chickpeas, and fava beans. There's so many things that we can eat. For the men? Yeah, you know, I think technically, I don't know what it is that obviously it's not healthy to eat meat, especially red meat every day, especially the way it gets cooked. So, you know, meat in general, I don't think it's natural for us to eat every day, meat products. So greens and think about the greens. Why they're important? Because the fiber that you put into your body from the fruits and vegetables, think of it as something that detoxifies you, right? If you're just putting simple carbohydrates in your body, you're just gonna pack weight. But you know, that plaque that we saw in the arteries, nothing is gonna reverse that and clean it up aside from the fiber that you put in from the vegetables. So vegetables, seeds, beans, like the ginger, the curcumin, the coriander, the cumin, you know, there's so many things that are very healthy for you that we don't use, like walnuts and avocados and, you know, so many different things that are available in nature. But every day we just want to eat the same thing, fried chicken, potatoes, and meat, and, you know, bread. Like that's just empty calories. If you sit down and count the calories that we consume in a day, it's very easy to put on weight. So who can tell me how many pounds, how many calories you have to lose or restrict yourself to lose 1 pound? Very good. You want that. So each pound is 3,500 calories. So how many calories do we need to sustain a day? Like just a day, how much calories? How many calories? 2,000. 2,000 calories. So if you want to lose a pound a week, you have to go on a 1,500 calorie diet a day. Now, has anybody counted calories to see what 1,500 calories? It's nothing. It's just breakfast and maybe a half a lunch, not even that. So if you look at your the ice cream that we ate today, that's probably 400 calories, 300 calories or so. So a lot of calories. The food, I don't know what it is. Since introduction of high fructose corn syrup in the US, it's banned in Europe, by the way. If you look at high fructose corn syrup, they wanted a cheap alternative to sugar. But once it got introduced to the US market, we saw the rate of obesity and diabetes and therefore heart disease kind of skyrocket. So we see that from the 70s on, that if there's one thing I can tell you, try to avoid it as much as you can. It's in everything. The French fries, ketchup, everything is coated with high fructose corn syrup, or it's got it in the bread. If you don't want to do that, keep an eye on your calories, because that's very important.
Doctor, that's good for the sponsor. You know, they don't spend too much money for the breakfast every day. You know, they have to reduce it now.
Reduce the calories. Yeah. That for the dinner, right? So it's a 1 meal a day. So I think in Shah Ramadan you're entitled to a good meal. Okay, so exercise. So what's the other important thing to do is, we talked about the diet. What's good for the heart is exercise. So it lowers your blood pressure, lessens your risk of diabetes, maintains a healthy body weight, reduces inflammation, increases. So the cholesterol is 2 types. There's a good cholesterol and a bad cholesterol. The HDL is your good cholesterol. Think of it as the cholesterol that goes around and cleans up your vessels. The LDL is the bad cholesterol, and if that's high, it deposits cholesterol in your vessels. And exercise, there's not many things that can increase your good cholesterol, but exercise is one of them. Exercise actually improves the ability of the muscles to take up oxygen. Therefore, it kind of takes the load off the heart. And if you ever talking to athletes, we see them all the time, that marathon runners, they have a very low heart rate. So it acts like a protective mechanism on the heart. So, you know, slows down the heart rate, and then also it's been shown to reduce your risk of major cardiovascular event, including heart attacks. So what's a good exercise? The American Heart Association says that aerobic exercise is basically just a stroll in the park is good. It's better than nothing. They say for every minute you walk, you extend your life by 2. That's a good equation there to have. But what's also important is an aerobic exercise. So basically jogging, swimming, biking, something that gets your heart rate going and you break a sweat. Even if you do it 10 minutes, you know, kind of weight resistance training too, as we get older, is very important to kind of do that. Just, you know, walking as we get older doesn't work as well as a little bit of sprinting and getting the heart rate a little bit up. So you want to work your way up into that. So if you haven't been exercising, you don't want to all of a sudden just start doing it, because that's not a good thing either. Here's an anti-inflammatory diet. So how do we reduce the inflammation in the body? We talked about exercise, but the diet, we talked about the sweets. We scaled back, way back on processed food. Snacks, you know, potato chips, processed meat, luncheon meat, processed cheeses, sugary beverages. Actually, a recent study showed that, you know, orange juice is not good for kids. So regardless of what you heard about orange juice, there's about 8 oranges in a glass of orange juice, 8 oranges, and they're very sweet, and they've been associated with diabetes and increased risk of overweight, obesity, and diabetes later on in life. So I challenge you to eat 8 oranges. Try it. Don't mess with, like, see, us human beings, we like to take things, and the juice man comes and tells you, you know how hard your body needs to work to extract that juice. Well, it's God created it, Allah created it in that form, the apple, the juice, the orange, because it's your sugar level in the bloodstream doesn't have to go like this. When you take the juice, it spikes. But when you take the whole fruit, it's kind of, the body digests it slowly, and then, you know, you have a better, and every time you have this rapid rush of sugar in your bloodstream, your pancreas is going to excrete a lot of insulin, and over time you damage all these insulin receptors. You run out of insulin, and diabetes happens. So to my youngsters, please avoid Gatorade. Gatorade, if you're exercising and you drink a Gatorade, is okay, but if you're playing Xbox, and then, you know, you're sitting on the couch and you're not exercising, don't drink Gatorade. Focus on whole foods, as we said, chicken breast, eggs, fish, legumes, dried peas, nuts, oils, extra virgin oil. The types of oils, like avoid saturated fat, trans fat. Take, like, if you can have extra virgin olive oil, don't eat margarine. And if you have to use an oil, something like avocado oil, but none of those hydrogenated oils. These are not good. The trans fat, they will stick to your body cells and mess up the wall of the arteries, and they'll never come off. So trans fat, avoid those. Don't get them into your system. So this is an example of an anti-inflammatory diet, and this is the effect of it. Clearer skin for the ladies, improved sleep for the men, less anxiety, stress, less bloating for everyone. It lowers your blood pressure, lowers blood sugar, and you get more energy. So here's the thing. I think most people, what I find surprisingly, kind of surprising, is people do not associate what they put into their body and how they feel. There's just, you know, there's no connection between the diet and what you do to your body and how you feel. To me, it's very surprising, because you've had days where you ate a good meal and you felt energetic, and you've had a meal and you're like had food coma afterwards. 30 minutes later, you just can't keep your eyes open. So if you're having a food coma, that's not a good sign. Like really feeling wiped out after you ate, that means you really have a sugar rush, you have an insulin rush, and your body's shutting down. So you should be eating just enough so you can live. You know, I always talk this with my patient. I say, do you want to live to eat or eat to live? One of the two. Pick one, quality versus quantity. It's your choice. But I think you will enjoy life. You will get to higher places, and you will feel more energetic if you eat the right way and don't eat too much. So cultivating the mind. We're going to switch gears a little bit. So mental health, and we're going to talk about the mental health and the impact on cardiovascular system. So, you know, for a while, you know, we have things in silos. We never talked about, like, okay, how does depression and anxiety affect the heart? You know, can stress give you a heart attack? Sure. Can you be too sad and get a heart attack? Sure. There's actually a condition most commonly happens in women, especially after a loss of a loved one. It's called broken heart syndrome. So basically, the heart stops pumping normally. Like normal heart pumping function is about 55%, what we call the ejection fraction. But this one, the heart balloons out. The heart muscle stops pumping, just the base of it pumps. So it's not really well understood, but we understand that in extreme levels of sadness, the brain can secrete, the nervous system can secrete a lot of hormones, epinephrine, adrenaline, and that can cause the vessels to constrict. And when they constrict, they can, people, I'm sure you've seen people, you've heard of people after an event, they just keeled over, or they either died or ended up in the hospital with a heart attack. So it's important to understand that, healthy mind, healthy body, and vice versa. Healthy body, healthy mind, and the two of them have to be working well with each other. So strategies for reducing stress and anxiety, mindfulness, meditation techniques, stress management practices. I'll get that in a slide, in the next slide, and the importance of adequate sleep for mental health. So, it's not only the sleep itself, the number of hours. We're so focused on the number of hours, but the quality of sleep is important. So is it like a disturbed sleep? Do you have good sleep hygiene? Are you having restful sleep? Do you wake up feeling good after you sleep? Can your body affect your sleep? Yes, the way you lay on, the way you sleep on your back or on your side, you sleep on your stomach, whether you're overweight, whether you have obstructive sleep apnea. So people that are overweight can shut their airways. So actually they can't go into deeper stages of sleep. Now, why is it important? The deep stages of sleep is when you actually dream, when you have something called the rapid eye movement. During that period of sleep, the brain secretes growth hormone. So the tissue in your body repairs itself during sleep, during that specific phase. Now, if you're not getting to the fourth stages or REM sleep, your body is not going to fix itself. So if you're choking yourself, the brain unconsciously will send a message for you, basically the throat. You wake up, your oxygen drops. But it's not like you wake up and sit. You don't know. You just toss and turn. You wake up the next morning, you feel foggy, you feel tired, you take more coffee, and it becomes this vicious cycle. You're not sleeping well, you're not rested. You put on more weight because if you don't sleep well, you're going to feel hungry all the time. And it's very important. Sleep apnea is very important when it comes to cardiovascular health. The mind. The mind is not your brain. The brain is just an organ, right? So it's not the mind. The mind consists of thoughts, emotions, beliefs, attitude. It's basically the baggage that you lug around with you since childhood. Like who you think you are, who your family is, and what you believe in. All of this is considered the mind. So the mind-body connection. So your thoughts, feeling, beliefs, and attitude can positively or negatively affect your biological functioning. So what do I mean by that? They did intensive studies to see people that are, for example, spiritual, enlightened believers that are total submitters. They did functional MRIs on their brain. They did blood tests, and they compared them with people that are potentially non-believer, constantly worried, stressed out, and all. And there is marked difference in the function of the brain, the areas, the flow of information in the brain, as well as the changes in their bloodstream. So the immune system, the people that are enlightened, that are spiritual, tend to have a better immune system, better blood sugar, better brain function, better memory, everything in all. They're more at peace. Like we say in in the Quran, Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna. So that peaceful soul does much better than the one that is not. On the other hand, what we do with our physical body, what we eat, how much we exercise, the way you stand, the way you sit, has also an impact on your mental state. If there's kind of a two-way street there. Mindfulness, what is mindfulness? Is an awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, but without a judgment. It is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment. So, you know, why is it important to be mindful? So most people are not conscious of their body. They're not conscious of their feeling. They're not conscious of their surrounding. The mind is taking them back and forth. So it's like a wild horse that you're riding, but you're not paying attention to what that wild horse is doing. You need to be in control of that wild horse, not the wild horse taking you to places that you don't want it to be. So it's important to basically step back a little bit, and if you get angry, say, why am I getting angry? If you get sad, you have to say, why am I getting sad? If you get happy, you have to kind of create a little bit of space between yourself and your mind and observe and see those negative emotions like jealousy, hate, grudge. All that stuff is going to trigger negative feelings and a shortened lifespan, like a really miserable life and a short lifespan. That most studies show that the body doesn't do well with those negative feelings. Being generous, loving, forgiving, not thinking about yourself, being selfless, being helpful to others, on the other hand, those bring about positive feelings, and that in return there's like a reward to that, biological reward. Aside from the worldly and then afterworld reward that you get from that. So stress management technique, I don't think, we don't talk a lot about breathing, for example. The first thing you do when you're born is take a breath, and the last thing you do is let that breath out. So, spending some time just, we have a hard time sitting with ourselves and then living in something we call the moment. So the mind either wants to go into the past and think about how dare she talk to me like that, and what does he mean by saying that, and reliving bad experiences. Now the sad part is that the body, the physical body, when your mind goes to relive a negative event, it cannot tell whether it's a real event or you're reliving it. So the hormonal reaction, the chemical reaction to a bad event is the same. It's like you're reliving it over and over and over again. So why would you want to do that? Just take, for example, a deer running through the forest gets attacked by a lion. So it runs for a bit, and then if it dodges the lion, 5 minutes later, the deer is not worried about another lion coming. He's not going to say, oh my God, I'm worried about another. It's not reliving those moments. Like the birds, the trees, they all live in the moment. Nobody thinks about the future, worries about the future, or thinks about the past. So the best state to be in is the moment, because we don't have the past is gone, the future is not guaranteed. So living in the moment is actually very good for your blood pressure, for your stress, for your diabetes, for your longevity, and definitely for your spirituality. So gratitude, exercise, being grateful. Us human beings, if you watch us, we never count the blessings that we have, that we woke up, we have eyes, ears, we had iftar, we can go on and on about the blessings that we have every day around us, the fact that we live in abundance now in this society. We always think about the things that we don't have, and then they make us miserable. How come, I want that iPhone, and I want that car, and I want to be famous, and I want to do this, and we're never happy with what we have. And gratitude is actually going back whenever you get those negative feelings, start thinking about that, is to start counting your blessing. Be grateful for what you have. And then before you know it, if you count 10, you're going to feel good. I promise you. If you start thinking about the blessings that you have. And that's also been studied. A lot of psychologists now are moving away from medicines and going more into something called cognitive or behavioral therapy, looking at gratitude and mindfulness as a tool to heal anxiety and depression, basically. One thing I tell my patients, don't fall into the way of thinking that doctors and mainstream, you do whatever you want, pursue happiness, whatever they call happiness, and we'll give you a pill for it, and I'll do a procedure for you. You know, it doesn't make sense, right? So let's not fall into that. Let's you know, elevate ourselves, think a little bit smarter. Your body is the biggest manufacturer of chemicals. If you know how to work this body, it's not easy. I'm not saying it, you know, it's going to happen overnight. You wake up one day and you can command your body to make serotonin and dopamine, and it works. It takes a lot of hard work. You know, it doesn't happen overnight, but you know, the earlier you start, the better it is, and it's never too late. And the road to 1,000 miles, the road of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. You have to be gentle on yourself. You keep trying, even if you're gonna fail, you're gonna have setbacks. Be gentle and say, okay, I got this. I gotta keep trying. Healthy diet, we talked about that. Tips for getting more sleep. All right, so you know, you guys all know about the blue screens, right? So if you have a bunch of young kids, you know, 2, 3-year-olds, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how you're going to get good sleep there, but that's you know, good luck. Been there, done that. Read a book, actually a real book. Don't look at a blue screen, because that blue light messes up your pineal gland. Pineal gland is what makes melatonin. You need that. You need the darkness at night. So putting like dark shades over the window, maybe a white noise machine, and really sleeping in a cool place can give you a really good night's sleep. So quiet, dark, cool place is the best way. And obviously, you know, if you eat, you know, spicy biryani, it's going to come up at 2 o'clock in the morning. So spicy food can definitely, I learned that the hard way. So also getting in rhythm. So most of us, there's just, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this world, galaxies and you know, the solar system, and everything is measured by milliseconds, the sunrise to the sunset. And you know, He's given us so many signs, and our job is to get some rhythm in our life. Do the same thing, like get in the habit of stimulating the mind. Read the same amount every day. Open up the Quran, read the same amount. Do exercise, do the same exercises every day. Wake up the same time, sleep the same time, eat healthy. The more you do it, if you do it for 40 days, 40 days is the trick. Studies actually show if you do something for 40 days, it will stick. So if you want to try and do Salat al-Layl, you do it for 40 nights, inshallah, it'll stick. But you can't just do it once, twice, and then, you know, 3 days. It's not going to work that way. You're going to make a commitment, put a journal, get in the habit of getting a book and a pen and write things down. I ate this, and this is what I felt the next day. I went to sleep, and start taking an inventory of your thoughts, your feelings, and the things that you've done, the things that made you feel good, the things that you're not so proud of, the things that you want to change about yourself, and all of that stuff. Instead of getting a pill, you can fix it on your own. So good quality pillow. Good mattress, it's important, all of that stuff, like the posture for the back and the spine during sleep. Not good to sleep on your stomach. It's actually, medically, from a medical perspective, is not a healthy thing to do for many reasons. Okay, we can move on. The soul-body connection. So, also, scientific research revealed that spiritual practices can impact our cardiovascular health. I kind of touched upon this a little bit. So, meditation, prayer, other contemplative practices have been linked to reduce stress, low blood pressure. So there's many neuroscientists now that are prominent in the field of spirituality and neuroscience. They're actually coming up and they're saying we're just scratching the surface of the mind and the spirituality and its effect on the whole body, the nervous system, as well as the cardiovascular system. It's a really big topic. Before it was, people thought like it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but now it seems that the swing of science is going back to say, spirituality now is a hot topic. A lot of people are talking about spirituality. You see it on, not the American way of spirituality. You go to a food kitchen with a TikTok. No. the different way of spirituality we're talking about. Basically, you have two systems, the parasympathetic system and the sympathetic system. The parasympathetic is more of the calming, soothing. It's like what we call the rest and digest system. And it seems that those practices activate that system and it produces relaxation. The other one is the sympathetic, or the fight or flight. So the fight or flight is basically somebody coming at you with a fist and about to punch you, and you're about to, basically your heart starts beating. And here's another thing. So, being mindful, like paying attention to your body. What happens when you get angry? Are you aware of what happens to your blood pressure, to your face, the blood rushing to your face, your heart beating? That is not a good thing. Right? So that reaction, that anger that you feel is really jacking up your system. So be mindful. Be mindful what your body's trying to tell you. And then, soon you'll realize, what a treasure we have in the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt teaching us, Makarim al-Akhlaq and Zayn al-Abidin and all these beautiful du'as that we have, du'a Arafah, du'a Makarim al-Akhlaq, beautiful ways of running a clean, steady heart and a healthy mind. So nurturing the soul, connection between we mentioned that, spiritual health, cardiovascular health, basically engaging in meaningful relationship and community connections. So, sitting on a TikTok or Instagram and social media and texting back and forth and, being self-centered in life. Studies show that people that are very self-centered don't get far and they're not happy. We've seen this many examples over and over again, celebrities committing suicide. They had the fame, had the money, and still yet they felt miserable, right? Look around you. Money doesn't make you happy. Fame doesn't make you happy. But the simple things in life, when you stop thinking about yourself and think about others. Think of us as a whole, as one community, one body, and then serve each other. Look. If you see a fellow mu'min that's that looks sad, you go up to them and talk to them. Is there anything I could do for you? Right? One of the things that come to mind is even the Imamia. I forget which Imam, but somebody came up to him and he cursed him, right? And he's like, "Is there anything I could do for you? Are you hungry? You need money?" And look at that response. He didn't you don't have to react. So if somebody comes and attacks you, you don't have this visceral reaction and take things personal. Take a step back and say, "I'm not gonna react. I can respond." Right? What's the response? The response could be, no, I'm not going to respond. I'm just going to walk away. Or I'm going to say, I'm going to be better than him. I'm actually going to make him feel bad. Or not make him feel bad, but basically say, maybe this guy's having a problem. Maybe he's not normal. Maybe he's under a lot of stress. Maybe he lost a loved one. Maybe he's just, he has something in his mind. His perception of me is wrong. He thinks I'm out to get him. So think positive. Always try to analyze the situation in a positive way and use this tongue in a positive way, not in a negative way. Ahsant. Yes, ahsant. So, kind of look back to the times that you were having fun. You felt light, feathery, and you enjoyed. Think of to me, the feeling, the clean feeling that we get, and that nice, clean feeling and happy mind on the day of Eid. Right, after fasting a whole month of Ramadan. Now you detoxed, hopefully you ate right, you did your prayers and you slept just the right amount. And on the day of Eid is such a joyous day because you get that beautiful clean feeling, both for the mind, spirit and soul and the body. So, our problem is Eid comes and then, okay, we go back to we revert to our old ways. Shahr Ramadan, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is a resetting, right? So it needs to bring us back to say, listen, this is how you're supposed to feel as a human being. If you do Shahr Ramadan right, you elevate your body, your mind and soul, and you clean up, right? And it's a kind of a reset for the rest of the year, not just for that month. It gives you the momentum to say, listen, I lost the weight, I'm eating once a day. Can I eat maybe 1.5 times a day or 2 times a day? Do I have to eat 3 times a day? You don't have to. Really, I mean, there's no study that says that you really have to eat 3 times a day, you know? So if you're comfortable, you feel like, okay, this is working for me, why go back to the old ways? And look, you didn't lie, you didn't do haram, you prayed on time, and why not just continue? Holistic approach to cardiovascular health. Basically, you know, what I wanted to impress on you is don't put things in silo. The body in one silo, the mind in one silo, and the soul in one silo. They're like this, right? They're all interconnected and layered on top of each other. And for you to reach Kamal, to reach your full potential, you got to get each one of them working well. And these are some of the strategies that we talked about. I mean, do not underestimate one thing that I want to say. Sitting in a room and avoiding people and avoiding nature is not a good thing. So nowadays we're doing less and less interaction with Allah's creation. Nature, walking in a park, going into a mountain, admiring Allah's creation. The beauty of nature has a healing property. Actually, just, you know, I'm not asking to be a tree hugger, but, you know, at least walk in the park, look at the birds, listen to the birds, look at the, you know, go to the ocean, you know, whatever, you know, when you look at it, you feel relief inside. That's very important. So, you know, they put us on a hamster wheel. You're like running throughout the day, rushing through life, right? You know, one wise person once said, like, you know, life is a race. The beginning of the race is your birth. What's the end? It's your death. Why you're rushing? Why you're rushing to your death? Sometimes you need to slow down. Don't put so much stress, social stress with possessions, because they're going to bring about loans. To my youth, don't make this mistake. Don't live beyond your means. Don't get buried in debt, because what's going to happen is going to be a slave to the bank, not to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're going to have to get now 2-3 jobs. You can't enjoy life. You have to pay, you know, the bills are going to be coming. Before you know it, it's like now you're working on weekends. You need a day, at least a day a week to sit down. And for my ladies also, and for the husbands, please give them that day, is to just do nothing. Basically just vegetate. Have some fun, do some good activities. It's very healthy for both of you. Cooking classes, social gathering, what we're doing here, we're blessed with this community. So that is very healthy. This connection, iftar, what we come having iftar together is a very important thing. So Plato said the greatest mistake is the treatment of diseases, in the treatment of diseases, that there are physicians for the body and physicians for the soul, although the two cannot be separated. And basically you see that connection between the three, and the heart, compassion, empathy, and love is right in the middle of the three. And that's the end of my talk. Hopefully I'll question. Thank you. Thank you.
Nowadays you have younger and younger people, even healthy people, young people who are having cardiac issues. So can you tell us some signs or symptoms that one should look for in order to go see a specialist? Even, you know, it applies to the younger youth also.
Yeah, so the majority of the symptoms, you know, so some of the stuff, unfortunately, like I've seen a 35-year-old with a heart attack, right? So the issue with it is really there's not, some of it, like a heart attack in a young person, there's not many symptoms leading to it. It's something like this, because most people think a 90% blockage is gonna give you the heart attack. But actually it's the 40% blockage inside the artery, that pimple that we talked about. So it's the rapid accumulation of plaque inside the artery that bursts that give you a heart attack in a young person. It's called something called the vulnerable plaque. So the trick is to avoid, because a 90% calcified blockage in somebody who's 60-year-old may give you chest pain. But the body had time over a period of 40 years to build bridges between the blocked vessel and the open vessel. So there's something called collaterals, or bridges between the two vessels. But that usually gives you a heart attack. We go in and open it up and it's fine, like a small heart attack. But the big heart attacks comes from the small plaque, actually, believe it or not, the soft plaque. Now, if people start having symptoms of heart disease or palpitation, dizziness, lightheadedness, shortness of breath, like feeling winded, pressure in the chest, tightness in the chest, something going to the jaw. Women totally, you know, from a different planet. They don't get the same elephant sitting on their chest. Sorry about that. But they usually get shoulder pains, the pain between the shoulder blades, usually sometimes just vomiting, heartburn with women, especially, you know, anything from here to here can be symptomatic from women, not the classic. They don't come in with the classic elephant. Guys will come and do this. I have a ton of bricks sitting on my chest, or I feel an elephant is sitting on my chest. Pressure in the chest, usually during a heart attack. Women get different symptoms, mainly sometimes fatigue, shortness of breath, nausea. But the other things that can point to heart problems is obviously, aside from feeling winded, is swelling of the legs, like, you know, getting winded fast. You go up a flight of stairs and now you're having a hard time catching your breath. Okay. Any other questions?
Can we get the slides shared? It's not good information, different difficult to absorb.
Sure. Sure, I'll have Haidar, you can, where's Haidar? Yeah, we can disseminate that, it's not a problem. Yeah. Sorry, sister.
Why it was not happening in my ancestors' like it was not that common? Because they used to walk, there is no car, no, you know, public transport, they used to walk to the school, go to the job by walking. I wish it would happen again.
Yeah, so the question was like, why like heart attack wasn't so common in you know, the older generations. I mean, think about what they did. They really had a rough life, right? So you know, we have it easy. You know, we park right next to the store. We keep going around the parking lot until we find a spot that's closer to the store. We don't have any physical activity. We live in a very polluted environment. They had really clean air. So that pollution from the exhaust from the cars and the lead that was poured into the system, the chemicals that we have, the preservative, the stress. Think about the level of stress. They lived a very simple, slow life that was very physical, right? And we live a very fast, stressful life full of junk and pollution. So that's why I keep telling people, slow down a little bit. Let's not get onto that hamster wheel and like feel like you're being whipped. Like, oh, we have to catch up with like basically, you know, keep up with the Joneses, basically after school activities, and put so much pressure on the kids, and my kid is doing that and I need that and we need to buy that house and that car. And then ultimately it really doesn't buy you happiness, it just brings about more misery. So, yeah, it's all.
New generation, next generation, it will be a very drastic, you know, side effects will be coming in the next generation because of that vaccine?
You know, my humble personal opinion, I think the COVID vaccine are a total disaster. We're seeing 1 in 4 patients who got the vaccines end up with autoimmune response. So the body is attacking itself because of the vaccine. I've seen a lot of blood clots because of the vaccines, and heart attacks because of the vaccine, strokes because of the vaccines. But, you know, the whole COVID vaccine thing is just a big question mark at this point. There's a lot, you know, that's why it's more important to focus on this. So the tips that I gave you here are going to help get your cardiovascular system, that inflammation and that you need to manage that. You can't have COVID and a vaccine and the life that we have right now. We need to go back to the basics. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Moussa. This is thanks to IMI. It was because of their cooperation we were able to have this session here today. I would also like you all to please contribute towards IMI and towards their projects. There are many projects that they're doing. Sister Hadiqa Batool is not. Are you here?
Oh, there she is. So she'll just give up a few minutes of a presentation of IMI's projects so that you can help. Come.
Thank you, Asad Uncle. I just wanted to say before Hadiqa speaks that we've had so many people in this room who have been actively involved in IMI, active contributors, Vizarat Uncle and Dr. Asad Sadiq Asad Uncle, who was actually recently appointed IMI's global president. So loud salvat for Asad Uncle. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just introduce Dr. Hadiqa Batool. She's board certified in hospital medicine and has been practicing medicine for several years now. She has been part of the teaching faculty at University of Pennsylvania, and she is now at Morristown Medical Center. She is the chief coordinator for IMI's Women's Wing in New Jersey, and she's also the medical director of the Sugra Free Clinic, Get Well Clinic, which she will talk to you about. So loud salvat for Dr. Hadiqa Batool.
Thank you. Can you all hear me well? Very good. Thank you very much. Well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. It's very good to be among family and friends. We've been to the center for years and love to be back. And especially IMI has a long-term relationship with Battle Qayem, and we have legends over here. And thank you very much for ever being supporters of Imamia Medics International. So first of all, I would like to extend our deepest congratulations to all the Mu'min and Mu'minat on the beginning of holy month of Ramadan, where we strive for the excellence. Is actually, we do strive for excellence, and may all our efforts be registered, and I'm sure this is being registered under by our Imam of our time, Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajak. Muhammad. So before I begin, just carry on. With one samosa, we have to run this much, so it's 1.5 miles actually. So let's vow to make better food choices. So happy Ramadan. I'm guilty of myself too, so we're all in this boat together. All right, very good. So Imamia Medics International has, as I said, been operating for 35 years. It has been accredited by the United Nations and has been in 5 continents, 25 countries, and probably now more in countless cities. IMI operate very professional way. We have a global structure. Our patron-in-chief is our Imam of our time, Ajallallahu Ta'ala Farajak, and we have board of regions, and we have board of directors, then we have chapters and women wing, and then it has its own different categories. IMI serves through 4 different mega axes. We have educational and professional development, health and medical services, humanitarian services, and advocacy. In health and medical services, IMI has been doing phenomenal work and has tremendous impact all over the world. We have Get Well Clinic in probably, if we start with just let alone in Pakistan, 18 places, then we have all over the world 30 places. We have completed another very mega project in Kurman in South Africa. I apologize. And then in Afghanistan, we have multiple other medical offices and Get Well Clinic. We just recently opened, just a few miles from here, Sugra Clinic that intend to provide free healthcare services to our underserved or uninsured population. Here's the number for it, and there are flyers outside. So be part of our Friends of Sugra Clinic, and we'll talk more how you could be. Imamia Medics International is not only in mega cities. It strives to go into the deep areas of the nations in the world where there is a real true need. One example is Shigar, where people have to walk miles in order to provide the healthcare services to the needy ones. Imamia Medics International was able to provide ambulance. Now we have hospital over there, we have school over there. In our major months throughout the year in Muharram, the picture on your left is just like within 48 hours, we just thought about, okay, why can't we just have a van? And here I am at the back of the van with my colleagues, and we just throw in some over-the-counter stuff for our Muharram Julus procession. And believe it or not, they were all gone. So the need is always there. And there are a few examples in Pakistan and different areas of the world where Muharram services are provided. In terms of advocacy, advocating for our professional youth and all that, and I cannot, rather this is the part of the education part as well. I have to acknowledge and really endorse the efforts by Dr. Behzad Jafri, who's really been phenomenal in our NEST program, helping the professionals, medical students, basically to give them guidance and become the leaders in their chosen field. We have Sadiq International Virtual University has been operating for several years, holding webinars, holding multiple type of lectures through ranging from medical education, healthcare, and technology. Just recent development, which is a really phenomenal development by His Eminence Sheikh Karbalai of Atabaya Hussainiya, was gracious enough to have a land, and we will be envisioning to build a center of excellence in Karbala, Iraq. That will be the center for, rather hub for the disaster management, AI, medical education, research, so henceforth. Let alone in India, we have this is just, we can have the breadth of all the work that we have been doing in different parts of the countries. Just to highlight a few of them, the most important ones, the Get Well clinics, the eye clinics, different ambulance services, different kind of medical services that we are providing. 72 coaching program has been a phenomenal program. They choose the people from really grassroots levels who have been really with mega IQ, and they can follow those kids along and develop them professionally. So something similar is going on in another part of the world, in Kohart, in Afghanistan. In terms of humanitarian services, as we speak, we have a delegate of 6 leaders in the United Nations that has been representing Imamia Medics International, including myself. I was just there a few days back. We have our 68th session of the Commission of the Status of Women, and I have the honor to meet the Minister of Women's Affairs in State of Palestine. And what a phenomenal literature and the data that was shared by the state, by her on the issue that's been burning in all over the world. This was the literature, this was actually the data that was presented. IMI has been in collaboration with our partners, especially in Egypt, Red Cross, and in Europe, and tried to get our way. We have already submitted $2 million worth of help over there, and more to come. And actually, a very recent phenomenal development is that we have a group of surgeons and doctors that has been organized by our colleague in New Zealand chapter, and we try to see how we can make our way to have a footstep over there. Of course, it's very challenging. Our heart breaks out for them, and this will be something that we will be, inshallah, will be able to provide in years to come. IMI has not been shy away wherever there is a need, be it in Muslim world, be it non-Muslim world. We were helpful in super sandy storm, in earthquakes. Then our mega missions. You all might have heard about the Arba'in mission. I have the honor to be over there last year, and can explain the gratitude. We heard all about the gratitude just a moment ago, and the feeling that you would have by involving yourself in this true form of Azadari. In over 2 weeks, we saw, believe it or not, 50,000 patients. We provided care to that many people over there, whoever is coming from Mishi or they're not doing Mishi, they're just there to get help. Hajj Medical Mission has been operating for 20 years. Is a 45-day mission with clinics in Makkah, Medina, Muzdalifah, Arafat, again providing all sorts of medical services or even the help, even if this is not a medical related field, to millions of people. Whatnot, you have heard about the University Medical Complex about to get built, the dream that is also coming to reality, a vision of decade in the making in Karachi. And we will have our on-ground presence by the Sadiq International Medical University. So IMI Global's impact is beyond expression. We are here to aspire to make a difference. The impact that IMI as an organization for 3 decades, 30 years of service is phenomenal. I can't go over with you how much in millions, if not billions, we're able to provide help and are able to make a difference in people's life. So all I can say is that Mominat, the act of righteousness travels in generations. नेकी जो लोग उर्दू समझते हैं, नेकी हम जो भी करते हैं, उसका असर हमारी नस्लों तक होता है. It travels through generations. We're doing it for our generations to come. We're doing it irrespective of whether you are sharing our faith, we're sharing our aqidah or not. This is the high time for followers of Ahlul Bayt to reconsider the value of our time. We are here all together. We go to our centers. Our centers need our support, and so do the organization, just like IMI need our support. We are running several of such projects, and it cannot be fulfilled without your help and without the help that has been provided by the community. And we cannot enough appreciate the much effort that has been provided by the community. So I request all of you to consider, be part of the monthly contribution that we are here for. And basically, you can click on the QR code and it will take you to the page, and you can click on the HQ team. And basically, HQ team is the nerve cell of our IMI, and through which it is able to execute all these projects that you just heard. And this is just like, we cannot explain the breadth of the work, the impact that we are able to generate in 10, 15 minutes. But you get the idea. This organization is for you, it represents you, and we all should be for them. So that's what I'm here for, and thank you very much for your listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hadiqa. You can see all the work that they have been doing, and this is only just a small window of the goodness that they have come forward. So I want you all to be a part of that goodness. You can volunteer your services, and like Dr. Batool just said, you can do ACH every month, a small amount, whatever little amount you can afford, please come forward to it. And every single institution needs your money. Everybody's asking for your money. Even the federal government wants your taxes. So this institution wants your money also to run these programs. And you can all easily afford it. And this is a goodness that you can come forward. And like Dr. Batool said, this has come from your, like the place where you're sitting. It just did not happen. It happened because people like you, people like your father, your uncles and your grandfathers, they all came forward to make this happen, make this building happen, make this program happen. The same thing that IMI is doing. So please come forward and help with it, inshallah. Do we have some sign-up papers or something with Dr. Batool? We do have it. So please go ahead and write your name, sign your name, and take a part in this goodness, inshallah. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much once again, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Baj. Yes, Dr. Beg, tonight. Please recite a Surah Fatiha for the sponsor of tonight's iftar, Dr. and Mrs. Athar Beg. This is the Fatiha for Dr. Athar Beg himself. Bismillah. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين صراط المستقيم صراط الذين غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dr. Moussa, thank you so much for a nice presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you once again. Allahumma salli ala. Yeah. Is Ziyarat Khasim already?